Good evening po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to our FB Live event. Ito po ang hashtag healthy naman at ako po si Nina Corpuz. Ngayong gabi, pag-uusapan po natin ang pinag-uusapan ng lahat. Ivermectin. Wonder drug nga ba ito o dapat ipagbawal? Pumutok po ang usap-usapan na ito matapos ang hearing sa Kongreso featuring Dr. Alan Landrito along with the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance or FLCCC. Ito po ay grupo ng mga frontliner doctors sa mundo na ina-advocate ang paggamit ng ivermectin. Sabi nila, base po sa kanilang experience at clinical trials, epektibo bilang prevention at treatment ang drug na ito. Isa sa nangunguna ngayon po sa search pag tayo po ay nag-Google ang ivermectin. Ibig pong sabihin, marami po sa atin talaga are very hungry for information. So we are here to give you just that, coming from our expert and our special guest for tonight. Bukod po sa ivermectin, we will also talk about COVID treatment at home. So since our guest po is an infectious disease expert at punong-puno po ang mga ospital ngayon, lalo na dito sa Metro Manila, tatanungin rin po natin siya kung paano po ba ang COVID care sa ating mga tahanan sakaling kayo po ay hindi ma-admit sa ospital. Napaka-importante rin po nito, no? So kung meron po kayo mga katanungan, if you have questions along the way, please just write them in the comment section below and we will try to answer them. So kasama po natin ngayon, walang iba kundi si Dr. Cecilia Maramba-Lazarte. Siya po ay Professor and Assistant Chair for Research at the Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology with cross-appointment as Clinical Professor at the Division of Infectious and Tropical Diseases, Department of Pediatrics from the College of Medicine, University of the Philippines. She's also the Director of the Institute of Herbal Medicine, National Institutes of Health, UP Manila. Good evening, Dr. Cecil.
Good evening, Nina. Nice to be here and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Doktora, for joining us. So una sa lahat, let's get to know ivermectin, no? Sabi nga ng isa niyong colleague, Doktora, kung manlitisin muna natin siya, di ba? Doktora, paano ba nag-umpisa ang drug na ito? When did ivermectin start?
Okay, so actually sa 60s pa, no, there was a Japanese microbiologist who was studying, looking for antimicrobials sa mga soil. No, at doon na-discover yun, they were screening certain bacteria na pwedeng pagkunan ng antimicrobial. So yung isang na later on they named it Streptomyces ivermectalis, no, doon nila nakuha yung ivermectin na later minodify nila para maging ivermectin. At ang nakita nilang kung saan paggagamitan to para sa mga bulate, no? So sa mga ating intestinal parasites. Doon siya nakitang okay. So doon yung nag-start. So initially ginamit siya sa mga animals, no? So siguro from the 60s maybe to about early 2000s, and then later on, no, nalaman na pwede rin pala siyang tiningnan rin syempre yung safety niya and all that, at tiningnan rin siya for other parasites sa mga tao, at nakitang maganda rin naman siyang gamitin para sa tao at safe naman sa doses na ginagamit nila pang-treat ng mga bulate.
Okay, so Doktora, ito yung parang pampurga.
Yes, pampurga. Tama.
Oo. So iba po ito dun sa deworming na ginagawa natin sa Pilipinas, yung may pinapatak.
Well, sa Philippines, hindi pa natin ginagamit to on a large scale kasi yung isang klaseng bulate kung saan siya ginagamit, no, yung for onchocerciasis, wala kasi sa Pilipinas niyan, no? Mostly sa Africa. So, hindi siya naging popular dito sa atin. Kasi we have other drugs para doon sa mga ibang bulate natin, no? So meron tayong albendazole, mebendazole, yung pyrantel, pamoate, doon sa mga bulate natin. So hindi siya naging ganun ka sikat sa atin in a sense.
Yes, that's right. Kaya parang ngayon lang nga natin naririnig at yung pala merong ivermectin na ginamit nga po sabi niyo sa Africa. And apparently, di ba, it's an essential drug sabi ng WHO and has actually saved billions of lives
Yes,
since
yes,
ever
that's
since it
true.
started, no? So, but
Yes.
let's be clear lang about it. Ginamit nga ito para dun sa bulate, karamihan dun sa mga taga-Africa nga po, no? So, yung sa nasa Pilipinas po na ivermectin ay para sa hayop.
Presently, yung meron lang, yung for veterinary medicine, no? So, I think lately, nag-allow rin yung FDA for compounding, I think. Basta may certain standards na susunduin, syempre, na para sa tao. Iba kasi yung para sa hayop, iba rin yung mga standards natin. Syempre, dapat mas talagang pure and yung kalinisan nito, no, para sa tao.
Okay,
So,
so yun
wala kasing drug company na talagang nagsesell nung human grade na ivermectin. Ang meron sa market, yung veterinary grade sa Pilipinas ang pinag-uusapan natin.
yeah, so saan kaya nanggaling yung mga nagipa na ngayon na ivermectin na binibenta po ng kapitbahay, ng kamag-anak, pati ng ibang doktor?
Well, you tell me. Kung saan nila
History.
Yun nga ang nakakatakot. Saan nga ba galing yan? Malinis ba ginawa yan? Okay ba talaga yan sa tao? So, magandang katanungan yan.
Actually, Doc, sana nga kung ganyan na naglipanan na at desperado ang mga tao, sana magkaroon na talaga ng pumayag na yung DOH na gawin ito para sa tao talaga, para hindi tayo maloko ng ibang tao, di ba? Baka binibentahan pala tayo, fake, pineperahan ka pala, di ba?
Actually,
Okay.
I mean, ang kailangan lang naman may taong magdadala eh. Kasi it used to be available in the Philippines. Kaya lang, since walang bumibili, ayaw na nung manufacturer. Siyempre, walang bumibili, ba't sila magdadala? So parang ngayon lang talaga, parang may need, no, para ipasok siya ulit.
Mm-hmm. Doc, I mentioned kanina that the WHO listed ivermectin bilang essential medicine. Ano pong ibig sabihin nito?
Well, pag sinabing essential medicine, pinag-aralan siyang mabuti, tinignan yung benefits niya, tsaka yung kung meron man adverse effects, at kung okay to doon sa indication na gustong for where it will be used, no? So, siya ay isang nasa essential medicines list ng WHO for yung onchocerciasis, for strongyloides, and yung bago nung 2019, pati sa scabies. Yung scabies, yun yung lisa o galis aso. So, sa WHO Essential Medicines List, yun yung tatlong indication niya.
Mm-mm. So, hindi pa for COVID treatment, no, Doktora? So, kailan nag-umpisa itong paggamit ng ivermectin for COVID treatment?
I think there was a study done March last year. I believe it was in Australia, na there was an in vitro study. Ano sabihin in vitro? Sa cells, no? Hindi sa tao. Sa cells na sinasabi, nilagay sa isang test tube, yung cells na may virus na SARS-CoV-2, nilagay yung ivermectin, at nakita na meron siyang action dun sa cells ng SARS-CoV-2, no? So hindi na dumadami yung cells ng SARS-CoV-2. So in vitro lang yon, at after ng study na yon, sabi nung conclusion nila is dapat mas pag-aralan itong ivermectin para potentially baka magamit siya for COVID-19. So doon nag-umpisa yon. So there are other groups naman na who did some trials on it. Ang problema lang to kasi doon nakita sa study na yung dose na kailangan mo para patayin yung virus medyo mataas. Mataas, parang 10 times or more what was the usual dose nung araw, no, for parasitic infections. So, medyo nga ano yung tao, kung kaya ba ng tao yung dose na yon, or is it safe enough? So, kaya siguro gumawa ng mga clinical trials din.
Oo. So, yung sinasabi nyo in vitro, no, hindi sa tao, but eventually gumawa nga itong mga doktor, no, yung mga frontliner doctors ng kani-kanilang mga experiential, 'di ba? Parang anecdotal studies. Doc, can you explain to us in the simplest way how it works or how the proponents explain it to work? Bakit ba nasabi ng iba na epektibo itong ivermectin to treat COVID-19?
So,
How does
well,
it work typically?
very simply, hindi na siya dumadami. Nasa-stop niya yung pag-replicate ng virus, no? At eventually, mamamatay siya, no? So, yung replication itself. But ang sabi rin nila, baka meron din siyang effect sa immune system, no? So, yun ang mga hypothesis na why it would work.
Tsaka may anti-inflammatory effect ito sa katawan.
Right. So, tingin nila baka may multiple effect sa katawan.
Opo. Ngayon, Doktora, pero hindi naman ivermectin lang, di ba, ang ibinibigay ng mga sinasabing nakapag-treat dun sa mga COVID patients, no? It's a cocktail of drugs, di ba? So when does ivermectin work? Does it only work in combination with other drugs? Like we've heard of antibiotics, azithromycin, doxycycline, even zinc?
Well, yun nga. We're not really sure kung kaya ba niya mag-isa, no? Or kailangan ng combination. Doon sa studies na siya lang versus placebo, mukhang hindi convincing talaga yung data, no? But in combination, hindi siya pinag-aralan in that whole combination. So, mahirap sabihin na is it one o baka yung zinc lang yon, or is it the other, no? Kulang pa rin talaga yung data, no? Pero ang gusto nila kasi na cocktail was ivermectin plus vitamin D plus vitamin C, may quercetin, may zinc, at melatonin. So it's really a combination of all these things.
Okay. So, Doc, if I'm sure you've read the study that the FLCCC came out with, in their experience po, ano po yung combination na ginamit ng mga frontliner doctor na yun?
I think they had, I didn't read each and every one, but there were different studies, no? Some were observational studies, meaning they just checked over time kung anong effect. Some were ivermectin alone. Some were combinations of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Some were ivermectin plus doxycycline. No, there were several combinations. That's why it's really hard na paghimay-himayin. Sino ba nag-work ba talaga dyan? May nag-work ba nga? Or is it just the natural course of the disease? No? Kasi meron tayong standard talaga na type of study para sabihin it will tell us, no, the highest type of evidence. Yun yung randomized, placebo, controlled, double-blind na study. Ano yung sabihin nun? No, pag randomized, hindi mo alam kung saan ka mapupunta. Mapupunta ka ba sa ivermectin group or sa placebo? No? Bakit nagbibigay ng placebo? Para sure ka na hindi lang dahil sa natural course of the disease or yung placebo effect. Ay, kasi may nainom ako, gumanda yung pakiramdam ko. Ano pa yung iba doon? Yung double blind. Pag sinabi mong double blind, hindi alam nung doktor kung anong binigay sa'yo. Hindi rin alam nung pasyente kung anong nainom nila. Yung ivermectin ba o placebo. Kasi pag alam mo na, may bias yun eh. No?
Yes.
Parang gusto mo na gumaling ka, kaya sasabihin mo, ay maganda pakiramdam ko, di ba? May bias kasi. No, so may certain standard talaga ng klaseng na studies na kailangan para masabi natin, totoo nga, yan yung effect nung ivermectin na yan. No? So, konti lang yung studies na ganon. And these were studied by the WHO, yun yung meta-analysis na ginawa nila. At doon sa, I think, 5 or 6 lang yung pumasa na ganon, inconclusive pa rin yung data doon. No? So far, hindi pa talaga siya sure. But, syempre, kami as doctors, we have to keep an open mind. No? If it will work, sure, we're going to prescribe it outright. No? Pero ayaw rin nating maggawa ng harm sa tao na baka we're prescribing something na hindi rin naman nakakatulong.
Okay, so Doktora, you're saying itong sinasabi nating gold standard ng RCT, no, yung trial na yan, randomized talaga at may placebo at double blind and all that, no? Kasi ang argument ng ibang mga doktor ay wala na tayong oras. You know, if somebody is dying in front of you, what do you do? Should you give it or not? I mean, what is your take on that, Doktora?
Well, it's supposed to be for... ako kasi hindi ako convinced yet talaga na it will work. Unang-una, doon sa levels na makukuha mo sa blood, doon sa dose na binibigay nila, mukhang hindi pa siya aabot sa pagka-antiviral, no? Doon sa immunomodulatory effects, I'm not convinced, no? But other doctors, no, may be convinced. So it is their lookout if they want to prescribe. But based on all the guidelines lately, no, na ating tinatrust from the WHO, from the CDC, from our own local guidelines, hindi pa siya nandoon sa guideline na yan.
So, Doktora, yung recent na in-issue ng FDA na compassionate use permit to a hospital to use ivermectin treatment for COVID-19. Ano po ibig sabihin nitong compassionate use permit?
Well, if someone applies to use it on a certain patient, they will be allowed. No, if they really want to use it, pwede yon.
So, compassionate meaning, does the patient have to be severe, or can it be used for more moderate cases?
I think for early treatment, it might be allowed. Pero for prophylaxis, baka hindi.
I see. Okay. So speaking of prophylaxis, that's another issue that everyone is talking about. Una-una, Doktora, let's explain sa lahat ng nanonood ngayon, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng prophylaxis?
So pag sinabing prophylaxis or chemoprophylaxis, bago ka pa ma-expose, iinom ka na para pag na-expose ka, it'll stop the disease, no? Hindi ka magkakaroon ng disease. Yun yung prophylaxis.
Kumbaga, inuunahan mo na, ininuman mo na ng para hindi ka mahawa o makaspread, no, o ng virus na ito. So, Doktora, so that is what's happening now. Let's not, I will not pretend, but a lot of my friends, relatives, you know, are so interested in this ivermectin and gusto nilang inumin ito. May mga dosages daw na once a week, once in 2 weeks, ganyan. Ano po ang opinion nyo tungkol sa ivermectin bilang prophylaxis or as a preventive measure for COVID-19?
Well, the data is also not convincing dyan, no? So, it's also not in the guidelines, even for the CDC, even for the US FDA, no? Even for our own local guidelines, parang hindi pa rin enough ang data to say na lahat tayo bigyan. hindi pa rin, no? Although in some countries, they've been doing it. Maybe we could
Like
name
what?
some countries
Yes,
like
Dr.
Brazil. Parang over-the-counter yata doon at parang may COVID kit daw sila doon sa Brazil, no? Ang laman ng COVID kit nila is hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, at saka ivermectin, no? So there are some countries who've been using it. But if you look at their country now, parang ang taas rin ng surge nila. No? Like Brazil has 630,000 cases daily, new cases daily, and 4,000 deaths per day.
So
It's
despite the
already
use of
available there, but I don't think it made a dent in what's happening there.
Opo. So, ang nangyari ay despite the use of ivermectin na over-the-counter at pinamimigay lang yung COVID kits na yan, you're saying nagka-surge pa rin po sa Brazil. Doktora, would you attribute that to just ivermectin or baka may iba na mga factors pa that may contribute to this surge?
Well, we're not saying that the surge is caused by the ivermectin, no? But it may have contributed to aggravating or people become complacent kasi, I'm drinking something, I won't wear my mask na lang. No?
Yeah.
Or I'll go out as much as I want and see all these people because I'm taking ivermectin. Yun yung fear din na maging complacent yung mga tao. So, although it probably did not make the surge, but it probably has some part in those things.
Okay, so talagang multifactorial, pati nga yung ibang na-vaccinate, doktora, ganun din naging complacent sila dahil na-vaccinate sila. Tapos ang ending, nagka-COVID pa rin sila. Okay, ngayon, doktora, another important question that everyone is now asking, nakita ko na dyan yan, side effects ng ivermectin. Kasi kung ako, ordinaryong tao, di ba, hindi naman ako expert, ganyan, nakita ko na nag-work sa kapitbahay, at wala namang side effects. Diba? At ang inuman ay once a month, once in 2 weeks, o once a week. Baka naman okay lang, doktora, parang biogesic lang yan.
Sana nga, no?
Parang sorry
Ang problema sa mga antimicrobials, no, it's a social drug in a sense. No? Kasi pag uminom ka ng paracetamol, ikaw lang naman maapektuhan, di ba? Pero yung kapitbahay mo, hindi. Ang mga antimicrobials kasi, they also change other things in your body, like your bacteria sa tiyan, your gut microbiome, no? So, taking antimicrobials na hindi controlled, pwedeng magkaroon ng resistance. No? So, yun yung isang factor na iniisip natin. Of course, by and large, halos lahat naman, majority siguro hindi magkaka-side effect. Although may mga recorded side effect din, no? Sumakit ang tiyan, nahilo, no? Pero yung isang very important side effect, yung neurologic side effect, kung ikaw ang kamalas-malasan, na meron kasing isang glycoprotein sa ating brain, no, na tinatanggal niya yung mga hindi dapat pumasok sa brain para hindi maging toxic, no? So, yung ivermectin, no, merong itong protein na to, hindi actively pumapasok sa brain dahil sa protein na yon. But kung meron kang mutation dun sa protein na yon, dun yung mga nagkaka-seizures, nagkaka-coma, other nahihilo, no? So, and yun ang within like just a few hours of taking the drug, biglang comatose. No? And they really found out because it was a mutation. But of course, it's rare, but I don't know in our population how rare that would be. Malas mo na lang kung ikaw yung rare na yun.
Yes, we understand kasi we also want to tell our audience, lahat naman po ng gamot ay may side effect, di ba? Lahat po ng gamot wala namang 100% na walang side effect o perfect na gamot. So, of course, for sure, ivermectin will have side effects. Pero kung ang sinasabi kasi ng iba, kung sakit lang naman ng tiyan, diarrhea lang, okay na. Kung ako naman ay maaaring maprotektahan laban sa COVID-19. Di ba, Doc?
I will not guarantee na mapoprotektahan kayo.
Pero hindi naman ako magkakaroon ng malalang side effect, di ba? Parang kesa na lang sa wala. Alam mo naman mga Pilipino, Doc, I'm not encouraging. Iba kasi pag may iniinom sila di ba?
Well, yun nga ang thinking natin, kailangan may inumin. Kaya nga sinasabi nga natin, yung prevention natin, ano ba? Yung face mask, yung face shield, yung hand washing, no? We're doing something active. Hindi naman yung lagi lahat a pill for every ill, di ba? So, we also control what we do, and there are things we can do para ma-prevent natin talaga yung COVID.
Yun lang rin, Doktora, naisip ko rin, no, sabi niyo kanina that it's been used in Africa for so many years and billions of lives were saved. I wonder, if billions of lives were saved, then the side effect, and then it's an essential drug, di ba? Parang
pero iba yung dose kasi. Hindi nga natin alam yung tamang dose eh. Kung tama ba yung iinumin natin o hindi. That's the dose for the parasite. Pero based on the studies, nung in vitro studies, hindi yun enough para patayin yung virus. Kulang na kulang yung dose na yun.
Okay. Ngayon, Doc, there's a question here that's a very good question. Ano ba ang i-recommend nyo? Ivermectin, Lingua, o Remdesivir?
Depende.
Alam mo, Remdesivir, yan ang standard of care. Yan ang ginagamit ngayon sa mga ospital na mahal.
Yes, but may certain indications for Remdesivir, no? So, hindi naman siya binibigay sa mild. So, more of early treatment sa moderate, tsaka sa severe. Yung Lingua, oh my gosh, it's not indicated for COVID. It's indicated for certain symptoms, no? Which may be seen in COVID. So, if you look at its package, it says for heat toxin of the lung, something like that. And for certain symptoms. So doon siya. Hindi sa lahat ng COVID.
Yeah, actually, we interviewed Dr. Kit Navarro ng traditional Chinese medicine. And sabi nga niya, depende nga sa sintomas mo. Yes. Hindi ang lingua ay hindi ho para sa lahat ng COVID patients. May cold type, may hot type. Ayan. So, kailangan alam niyo kung kayo ay cold type daw or hot type, doktora. So, ano ba dapat? Ang lingua ba ay cold type or hot type?
Sorry, hindi ako TCM doctor. Yun na nga yung Western doctors, hindi naman marunong dyan sa TCM diagnosis. Those are TCM diagnoses. Those are not the usual medical diagnosis. Wala yan dun sa pinag-aralan namin na hot type. Mga Chinese diagnosis yan So, majority ng mga physicians, hindi familiar dyan sa diagnosis na yan.
And para lang ho sa nagtanong, basahin ko na lang yung dati naming report, no, na ang lianhua, okay, ang cold type, if you're experiencing chills, at literal na giniginaw ka, this is not for you, according to the TCM doctors. So, if you're a hot type, then ikaw yung nakaka-experience daw ng fever, sore throat, sweating, mainit ka at pinagpapawisan ka. Then, that's the time daw that you may use lianhua under the TCM doctor, di ba? The recommendation of a TCM doctor. Right. So, hindi rin po basta-basta rin yan ginagamit. Okay. Ngayon, doktora, may mga questions pa rin po dito on comorbidities kung ang Ivermectin daw ay pwede ba sa may diabetes, high blood, cancer, lupus?
I suppose they are not contraindications. Merong lang mga may mga drugs na possibly may interaction, especially yung mga naka-warfarin, no? Pero dun sa mga ibang comorbidities, hindi naman siya contraindicated.
Okay. So, yeah.
But again, I'm not endorsing ivermectin for prophylaxis or early treatment.
But also, that's also good to know that na wala naman siyang comorbidities pagdating sa mga ganitong klase ng sakit that I mentioned, diabetes, high blood, cancer, and lupus. Paano raw ba pagbuntis, Dok?
Pagbuntis. It's not generally recommended sa buntis.
Okay. Sa bata, ilang taon daw ang pwedeng mag-take ng Ivermectin?
I think there is a dosage recommendation until 2 years old, I think. Oh.
Okay. Sa matanda, yan, nabigay na, no? Yung mga sa bata, sa matanda. So you're saying 2 and above yung mga studies na nakikita natin. Okay. Ngayon, Doktora, there's another wonder treatment, no, na napag-usapan natin, Ivermectin, lingua, VCO, virgin coconut oil. Yan. What is, may studies ba dyan?
Well, there is supposed to be an ongoing study sa PGH. They're going to do it parang adjunct therapy, no? So, wala pang result.
Kasi may kaibigan ako na nagsispray ng VCO sa ilong para raw hindi mahinga yung in case na may mahinga siyang virus, may mga ganun po eh. Nagsispray sila ng nasal spray. Hindi naman masama, Doktora.
Hindi ba siya nahirapan huminga? Kasi it's oily eh. No, for some it might be irritating, but it's not recommended in general.
But there's another herbal drug that you mentioned before our interview, Doktora, that might show promise, and baka magkaubusan na naman ito, Lagundi, Doktora. Sabi niyo ay may study dyan.
Oo. So it has a potential, no? Actually, the reason why we were looking into it was meron rin isang study na lumabas na mukhang pwede rin siyang antiviral, no? So there are several compounds na possibly antiviral, and then another professor from MSU also contacted me na they also saw na mukhang may potential. So what we did, we are doing the clinical trial, no? Hindi namin ginawa na i-announce lang na, okay to, gamitin natin to. Hindi. We really want to look kung totoong okay siya o hindi. Now, the other thing with Lagundi is that since COVID has respiratory tract symptoms, diba, cough, difficulty breathing, or naninikip yung dibdib, no? Lagundi is really known, no, to be a drug for cough and a bronchodilator, and also has anti-inflammatory properties, no? So nakikita namin yung potential niya, which is why we really are doing a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial. And it's not easy, ha? Baka akala nyo, namin nagsabi, gumawa kayo ng study. Ang hirap-hirap po gumawa ng study. Yung study physicians namin, nasa quarantine centers. They're also frontliners na they are risking their lives going to all these COVID positive people. Minsan nasa ilalim lang sila ng tolda na naka-full PPE, no? Halos magka-sunstroke ka na. Hindi madali gumawa ng clinical trial sa totoo lang. Pero hopefully in a month or so, we will have some data for you.
For that, no? So that's another prospect and something to look forward to. Meron ding Lagundi, bagong balita yan, Siguro ngayon lang nila narinig. Ngayon ko lang narinig Doktora. Okay, now let's talk about something very important also, no, na dapat pag-usapan, COVID care at home. Now, si Dr. Cecil po ay isang infectious disease doctor, so I think she's really the perfect person to ask, paano ho ba natin aalagaan ang isang taong COVID positive sa bahay? Yan. Isa-isahin mo natin, Dok, yung pwedeng gawin ng ating mga kababayan. Merong testimony tungkol sa suob, Dok. Marami nag-testimonial dyan, kumakalat, viral. Ano po ang masasabi niyo doon?
Yung suob, ang problem lang niyan, no? Kasi nga, parang aerosol na ganon, since it's hot, very hot, the possibility of burns is a problem. Number two, baka rin mag-aerosolize yung virus o kumalat sa kwarto. So, yun yung reasons why. And plus, yung benefit niya isn't really proven for COVID. So, actually, dinidiscourage yung suob.
Ganon. Okay. Why? You mentioned baka maging, baka
Yun nga.
lalong mapapapak ang sitwasyon.
Oo, baka, kumalat lang sa kwarto. Kasi magtatanggal ka ng mask, di ba? Tapos, well, but still it's aerosolizing everything, no? So, baka kumalat sa room rin yung virus. So, hindi rin siya,
Recommended.
what do you call this? Recommended. Plus, baka masunog lang kayo sa boiling water, dangerous pa.
What is the alternative, Doktora? Steam or ano ho ba yung alternative?
Actually, pati nebulization hindi nire-recommend, no? Kasi baka nga kumalat lang talaga yung virus. Well, symptomatic treatment lang. First of all, dapat well hydrated ang tao talaga, no? Lots of fluid. Also, eating nutritious foods, try to get those vitamins in, no? Multivitamins is not contraindicated. Taking your temperature ever so often. Paracetamol, no? If you have fever. Okay? Of course, syempre sa start pa lang, isolation, right? Ayaw mong mahawa yung mga ibang tao. No? So, it's the supportive management, parang dengue. Supportive management din ang pinaka-importante sa dengue. Plus, hydration and monitoring. No? So, if the patient shows signs of difficulty breathing, no, yun yung mga signs na kailangan talaga ng treatment sa hospital.
Ang problema nga, Dok, yung ibang ospital hindi na kasi tumatanggap, kaya syempre kung ano-anong alternative na ginagawa ng ating mga kababayan. So, for you to try to breathe better, ano mo ang pwedeng inumin? Diyan na ba pwedeng pumasok yung, alam ko may trial pa lang yung lagunti or anti-cough?
Yes. You can, for symptomatic treatment, pwede naman yung mga yan, no? Drugs for cough, yung lagundi, pwede yan for the symptomatic treatment. Kung parang nahihirapan, kung yung tao may hika talaga at kailangan niya yung mga inhalers niya, then that's the time na gagamitin siya.
Doktora, yung mga humigaraw ng nakadapa.
So, yung naka-prone position, usually nga kung talagang parang nahihirapan, tinatry rin nila yun.
Oo. Okay. And yung iba, bumili na po ng mga oxygen tank. Ano po ang masasabi niyo doon? At least, di ba may oxygen tank pa na sa bahay?
For some, it's like a security blanket. No? If you, para security na gusto nilang, there's something para maano nila. But, sometimes it's also good, especially kung in between. Kunyari nga, feeling nyo na at the start mild. So, pinayagan kayo mag-home care, no? Pero there's some na mild na pwedeng nagiging moderate, no? So, pwede siyang panandalian na mag-oxygen habang naghihintay para makapunta sa ospital or makapunta sa ER. So that will be helpful sa mga ganong times.
Okay, and Doktora, sabi magpa-araw, kailangan mo ng vitamin D or kailangan kang maarawan?
Well, hindi naman mako-convert siya right away, no? So, if you want the vitamin D right away, then yun yung oral. Pero habang habang you're not sick, hindi rin naman masama magpa-araw, no? Kasi para mag-increase rin yung vitamin D mo sa body.
And kung ikaw ay may COVID at nagpapagaling sa bahay, ilang milligram po ng vitamin C, ng zinc ang kailangan?
Well, they've given as high as mga 500 milligrams to 1 gram of vitamin C. Okay naman yon. Yung vitamin D around 1,000 IU per day doon sa mga adults is okay. Basta within limits, hindi yung, kasi yung iba ginagawa nila sobrang mataas na doses, hindi na naman yon recommended. Yung within the allowable na doses.
Okay. Ngayon, Doktora, kung nasa isang at yung bahay nyo ay hindi naman malaki masyado, no? Paano yun? So yung taong may COVID, kailangan hiwalay na kwarto siya. Kailangan may electric fan, ganyan.
Yeah, that's really the ideal. Well, para maging komportable yung tao, no? Maganda nga at least may electric fan para rin syempre if you have fever, gusto mo namang maibsan din, matulungan din bumaba yung fever. So, okay yun na dapat well-ventilated na lugar. Ideally nga, yun yung isolated. That's why nga meron tayong mga quarantine centers doon sa mga bahay na talagang hindi ma-isolate, no? Hindi nila malagay sa sariling kwarto. So, yun yung use ng ating mga community quarantine centers.
I've seen some maganda, Doktora, yung mga quarantine facilities.
Oh, yes. Oo. Yung iba, aircon pa.
Maganda. Buti naman.
Libre pagkain.
Yes, may libreng pagkain and everything. That's
and they usually give you like, kasi nga pupunta kami sa mga quarantine centers para sa study namin. So, syempre, meron silang mga kits din, mga na may mga paracetamol, multivitamins, etc. to help the patients.
Okay. So, yeah, I've seen one in particular in Valenzuela. Maganda yung community or quarantine facility nila doon. And may isang ang buntis na nandoon, napunta doon at gumaling naman siya at wala naman nangyari sa baby niya.
Maraming gumagaling sa quarantine center.
Maraming gumagaling. So may mga good news rin po tayo sa kabila ng mga nangyayari po sa ating paligid. Pero kasi yun nga, no, marami po sa amin ay, sa atin, are very emotional since, I'm sure some of those who know somebody or kung hindi man talagang kabag-anak mo talaga, nanay mo, tatay mo, asawa mo, anak mo, di ba, have been affected by COVID-19. For those, Doc, who are fearful or who are looking for answers, what can you say to them? What can you say to these people who are desperate during times like this?
So actually, we're actively doing something, no? Even just by staying at home, you are actively taking care of yourself na hindi ka ma-expose, no? So using your face mask, face shield, you are actively doing something para hindi ka rin mahawa, no? So yung pag marami rin sa bahay, yung ventilation, kailangan maganda yung air exchange sa loob ng bahay, no? So buksan ng mga bintana para maganda yung air exchange, para yung virus hindi naiipon sa loob ng bahay, no? So even if there's someone na galing sa labas, meron pala siyang virus, less ang chance na makukuha nyo ang virus kung maganda yung ventilation sa loob ng bahay. And as soon as someone has symptoms, no, tawag agad sa barangay nyo kung pwedeng magpa-swab or kung anong maitutulong ng barangay so that magawa ng paraan yung taong suspected of having COVID-19. So I think ang isang naiisip kasi ng mga tao, nakikita ko rin sa Viber, no, iniisip na we're back to square one. We're not back to square one. Sa totoo lang, yung mga doctors natin, mas bihasa na sila mag-manage ng COVID kesa before. Dati talagang blanco kami, no? Hindi namin alam kung anong ibibigay, anong klaseng oxygen, uunahin ba yung intubate, no? Yung ating mga pulmonologist ngayon at mga especially yung adult infectious disease, no? Mas magaling na sila mag-handle ng patients ngayon kesa nag-start tayo nung ating pandemic.
Mm-mm. So at least that's a positive way of looking at things. Mas bihasa na yung ating mga doktor to treat
Yes,
COVID
that's
patients, no? Pero sana lang hindi sila ma-overwhelm sa mga pasyente kasi kahit na mas bihasa na sila, kung wala namang tatanggap sa yung ospital at mamamatay ka na lang. So yun po ang problema rin natin ngayon. So sana po ay mag-ingat po tayong lahat, Doktora. And since ang pinag-uusapan nga po natin itong mga wonder drugs na ito, what's your advice on the use of these products? Kasi kahit po sabihin ng doktor na huwag niyong gamitin yan or sabihin ng WHO or FDA, it's hard also to turn a blind eye on some studies that were made or kahit na personal anecdotes ng mga credible rin naman ng mga doktor to mga to who are really in the front lines. What's your advice, Doktora? If we have to use ivermectin, know your source, ganun ba? Know how much dosage?
Well, yes. Make sure it's from a credible source. Mamaya, ang binibigay na sa atin, yung veterinary grade, no? Ayaw naman natin yun. So, make sure it's from a credible source. Number 2, you are under the supervision of a doctor. Para kung meron mang side effects, no, magagawan kaagad ng paraan, no? So don't self-medicate, no? Do it with a doctor who will monitor you and watch over, kahit telemedicine man lang, no? Kasi ngayon puro gano'n, ano, kahit ako, yung mga ibang pasyente ko puro sa Viber o kaya na tumatawag sa phone, no? So, dapat talaga minomonitor ng doktor.
Yeah, a very important point to let your doctor know na naman magagawa yung doktor pag ininom mo na yan. But at least alam niya.
Oo. Mamaya nagsisure ka na doon, hindi niya alam, may ininom ka palang gamot, no?
Yes,
so,
yes.
Really, you should know.
Yeah, that's very important. And lastly, Doktora, marami pa rin may agam-agam sa vaccines. May mga matatanda ayaw magpa-AstraZeneca, may iba ayaw magpa-Sinovac or vice versa. Ano po ang masasabi niyo dun sa fear ng mga seniors lalo na kailangan ng vaccine, ayaw magpa-AstraZeneca dahil may blood clot effect? At presyo wag daw Sinovac kasi hindi raw pang matanda. So ano po ba talaga para sa matanda? What's the best one?
Well, for now, no, dapat yung AstraZeneca talaga ang mas recommended sa elderly. And yung blood clots na nakikita, actually, that was very, 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 very rare. And it was seen in the younger age group, no? So actually, for now, on hold na siya for the younger age. Until they feel that enough yung data na sabihing safe talaga ito, no? So, for our elderly, AstraZeneca talaga ang mas appropriate. Yung tatay ko nga, pinaano ko rin ng AstraZeneca, ako rin ng AstraZeneca, no? So, pinag-aralan talaga siya for COVID, okay? Na tinitingnan yung safety data as well as the efficacy data. So, it is really recommended for the elderly. Huwag po tayong matakot, no? Yung ating mga elderly, kaya nga meron tayong monitoring bago punan, check talaga yung mga patients, and after, may monitoring din sila kung may mga adverse effects, especially kung may allergy, no? So, yun.
And Doc, if
So
I
far,
was a younger person between Sinovac and AstraZeneca, let's say you're in your 30s or 40s, tapos priority ka kasi may comorbidity ka, kunyari ikaw ay high blood, di ba? Priority mga hypertensive. Pag ikaw ay nasa age na ganun, 40s lang, thereabouts, mas bata sa senior, Astra or Sinovac?
actually, yung Astra, no, sa atin naging very cautious lang siya, no? Pero even the European Medicines Agency said that even for the younger age group, the AstraZeneca, the benefit far outweighs the risk. Kasi napaka-rare ng blood clot na yon, no? So both are okay, no, for the younger age group, but for now, naka-hold pa yung AstraZeneca. So Sinovac is also recommended for that age group.
How about Sinovac for the elderly?
Well, pinayagan na siya ng FDA ngayon, no? So ang feeling nila, the benefit again outweighs the risk, no? So
City doktora ng
ng
AstraZeneca.
Astra, kaya nga that is why pinayagan ng FDA yung vaccine panel nila, gave the go signal na pwedeng siyang gamitin pero cautiously, meaning check upin rin yung mga elderly bago siya bigyan, no? May monitoring din.
And lastly, Doc, no, bago tayo magpaalam, yung sa Ivermectin pa rin, we're not completely closing our doors, are we?
No,
Because
no.
there's still studies that are ongoing. No,
There are
Doctor?
so many studies
What's in
ongoing.
particular, can you cite something that you're really looking forward to na makita yung resulta, baka malay natin, di ba?
Yes. Ang gusto natin makita na it will decrease mortality. Okay? It will decrease the time that you have symptoms, or it will also decrease transmission if it's possible. No? Sabi nga nila, there are about maybe 70 ongoing. So, maybe, hopefully, in a few weeks, one of them matapos at mapublish, baka mag-change ang ating recommendation. So, we're not closing our door. Hopefully nga maganda siya, no? Pero for me, we can do other things, no, to stop exposure, stop transmission. So first, do no harm, and sana nga totoong mag-work siya, and pag ganon, ipamudmud natin sa buong bayan yan.
Yeah, maraming salamat, Doktora. Tsaka yung ina-advocate yun, apat dapat, yun pa rin, no? Hand washing.
Yes.
Face mask, face shield.
And yung good ventilation. Importante.
Ventilation, very important. Huwag ho kayo sa mga kulob, pati mga meetings, na kung na kayo mag-meeting sa kulob na lugar, no? Or sa mga, mabuti pa yung talagang nasa labas po, no? At mahangin. Sa beach kaya mag-meeting, no, Doktor? Kung malapit lang ang beach. Anyway, Doc, marami pong salamat. At least, no, we know that this discussion does not end here. There are clinical trials that are still ongoing. And meron Philippine COVID-19 Living Recommendation Panel. Doktora pala. Pala to, that continues to study the effect of these wonder drugs, including Ivermectin.
Yes. Definitely, no? So, araw-araw naghahanap yan ng mga new studies that are coming out, no? So, if there are anything new, we will hear about it.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Cecilia Maramba-Lazarte, for your time and for explaining to us. I know it must be difficult because medyo controversial po yung topic natin, but thank you for explaining us. Yes, thank you, Doktora.
My pleasure and my honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Sa lahat po who joined us, maraming salamat po for joining us once again. Magkakaroon po tayo ng part 2 lalo na pag lumabas na naman po yung mga bagong pag-aaral tungkol po sa mga ganitong drugs like Ivermectin and even yung minention ni Doktora, no? Labundi raw na pinag-aaralan ngayon sa UP. So thank you everybody for joining us, for asking your questions. Ang gusto ko lang pong sabihin siguro, no, na while we're keeping an open mind, let's also be very cautious po, no, saan nanggaling yung mga iniinom po natin, kung prophylaxis nyo ba yan or what, no. So let's know where it's coming from if possible, no. Pero mo nga ba malalaman, no, kung nandyan na. Minsan desperado ka na, but sabi nga ni Doc, do no harm. Let's just really practice number one, the safety protocols, and let's try to keep a positive outlook. So salamat po. And if you have other suggestions, you may always comment sa amin dito sa Facebook if there are other topics that you want us to discuss. So thank you so much once again. Tandaan niyo po, live your family's best life. Unahin po ang kaalaman. #healthy naman. Good night.